noted in your work that being able to empathize with others is a skill that can help implementation support practitioners build those relationships. How can an implementation support practitioner demonstrate empathy?
Sure. And I'd love for us to think of it in a similar way as that creation of psychological safety and trust building, that we need to demonstrate empathy, but we also want to facilitate empathy among implementation partners. It's funny, it's like, even with, having a background, I'm trained as a psychologist, you don't often kind of name things for what they are until maybe someone helps you do that. But I remember early in my career knowing that the ability to take the perspective of someone else in the implementation effort seemed key. It seemed key for me, that I needed, like, I'd be thinking, gosh, why does this feel so hard? Or why is no one talking in this team meeting? you know so kind of, the idea of what's really happening here, is always kind of on your mind, along with the technical work that you're doing. And I realized that my ability to empathize, to ask those questions, to say the things you need to say, tell me more, I'm really curious about that. How are you experiencing this? What advice would you give me in my role in supporting you? Those are all kind of empathy driven types of questions. But then how do you get folks with different roles in implementation, whether they are policymakers or model developers or practitioners or advocates, whether they're community members, it's thinking about, they all have a different perspective. And implementation starts moving when you can get to a point where a community member might understand the perspective of someone who's working as a leader in an agency. And if that agency leader is starting to understand what's happening with kind of external policy. And the way that I've always done that is by having a lot of conversations with people and saying, yeah, that's really interesting, because I bet this other person's under a lot of pressure related to. And then the person I'm talking to might say, yeah, that's probably true. And I'll say, yeah, so that might be why they were acting that way. And, how might we all be able to come together? And that might seem like this simple thing, but if you do those things over and over and over again, frequent interactions, bi-directional communication, working in teams, and then being discreet, kind of knowing, when to kind of let folks know that you're kind of trying to share different perspectives, I think can be just so incredibly helpful to the work.